Hello everyone, it's Christine here and we are going to be doing some more work on my Slow Stitch Roxy Journal of Stitchery storage container, which I'm making out of a long piece of a slow stitch fabric on both sides, mounted on a piece of felt and stitched into on that felt. I'll link to the previous episode where I talked through how I will be constructing it, but today we're just going to be adding wonderful details, and I'll show you what I've done since the last episode, and I've got some fun little additions. I also, before we start working on this panel here, I wanted to show you my plans for the piece as a whole in terms of this beautiful beading embellishment that I'm planning to put over the top. It was funny, I was looking at a little jar I had of various very small offcuts of beautiful beaded pieces, and then I've got much bigger pieces of these up in the cupboard, and I remembered that I had this lovely, and I have a huge amount actually of this beautiful beaded fabric from Silk and Stitch, which is a bridal making business in Melbourne, where they also sell boxes of offcuts because they also believe in diverting things from landfill. So it was an amazing way to get a box of incredible beaded deliciousness. So yeah, this jar's a very small selection of them, and the lovely lady from there has also sent me previously a gift box at Christmas time, in the lead up to Christmas, which was just so lovely of her. So I've just got so many beautiful things. I just keep this as a little remnant jar in my little shelves next to the desk, and it was a good prompt for me to think about how I could incorporate this bluey purple color, which I thought would be just fabulous for the blackberry. And because the poem that I'm basing this panel on talks about blackberry, starts with blackberry and then finishes with the words, over the fence the world is hungry for you, you belong out there, arch your canes over the gate, beg the birds to lift you, however you do it, go free. So I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to have the beaded embellishment running right across the piece all the way over to the final panel where the birds and that whole sense of arching the canes of the blackberry over the fence and going free. So that's the plan. And so this just this beading sits on a mesh. I'll be able to trim it down and then just stitch it down. What I also usually do is put some extra stitches through the beads themselves, particularly if it's going to be something that gets a bit of wear and tear on it. So I've actually just got some, because they come in sort of little sprays of it, I guess. So that's one complete piece there. So that will run over to there, and then I'll have another piece and I'll just sort of merge them in and join them in so that they run the full direction over. And this is a different design piece, but I just thought, yeah, perfect size, and it will just beautifully meander across the piece. So I've taken a photo of those bits, and then I'll have another smaller section of it here, and I have a plan, which we might do first up because I'm eager to do it, a plan to make a little basket, because at the start of the poem by the beautiful Mary Walker, who I will link to again, it says, beyond my garden fence, weeds are simply plants. I might rip blackberry from my borders, but I covet its fruit in the wild. So I thought I'd make a little basket of blackberries, and using this little skerrick of very vintage, so old it's falling apart. You can see the mesh at the back is just absolutely disintegrating. So I thought I'd stitch these into a little basket made from one of these. I think are they like little curtain pulls or something? Yeah, I thought I'd stitch a little basket using this and put these inside as the blackberries. Something along those lines, and that can then sit on this little fancy area here, and that's why I won't need to have beads continue all the way across. I'll just have this little spray coming up from behind the basket, and then the other sprays coming across from there. So I'll take this one off for now, but I do need to remember to stitch that in, and let's let's have a go at the blackberries. Other things that I will do with you today, I think, is I'll show you, I'd previously showed you how I was stitching using the wool, the Appleton's crewel wool, doing these vines, and then I decided to, using some of my little mixed beads, another bit of that lovely beading, using just the little purpley bluey coloured ones to do some little beautiful blackberries in there. So we can do another couple more. I think I'll put 2 more on here so that I have 5. So we can do that together. And they actually go really well. These are slightly more bluey black, but yeah, beautiful. And then I think we can do some of this together as well, and I'm using some wool. I might even use the darker blacky blue for maybe these 2 up here, and maybe one like this down here, not sure. So yeah, that's doing French knots, but I'll show you that. I will also show you how I'm just anchoring down this piece of beautiful vintage embroidery, and I am just using my Aurifil, the lovely threads that I adore, this particular Mako number 12, and so I've just been doing some little mock stems following in a similar sort of stitch to what's been used. I've just been doing a whipped running stitch there, or no, a whipped back stitch actually, yep. So I'll show you that also. And since the last episode, I've stitched down, I had a whole lot of big rolls of this braid. Sorry, I was just leaning down. And so I thought it'd be great to make that almost like the fence that's talked about in the poem Beyond My Garden Fence. Because originally I was thinking this could look like a gate, which it still can be, or otherwise it's like a paved area which has sort of borders and designs in it. And then because I just wanted to have a sort of a neat edge across the fabric down, oops, sorry, and you can't see it, across the fabric down here, that's where I put another piece of braid across there. And so this is all stitched down. I've done some stitches into the little areas over here as well. And I think I've done some little stitches into the centres. Yeah, I've done some little stitches into the centres down here. So it's starting to get held down. I'll need to do some stitching into this, so we'll see if we get time for that. But let's first of all make our little basket. So I'll need to grab, I think I'll just get some white crochet yarn, will be good to use, given this is crocheted. Hopefully I don't bang the camera. I've got the cord in because I was worried it was going to run out of juice, out of power. Who was it I was watching? Was it Kate of, and I forget her exact channel, it's got the name Nest in it. I think she was talking about, was she talking about running out of juice? Someone else, someone I was watching recently that was working on Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. Sorry if I've just shown you my little graze on my arm. Travis accidentally did that when we were getting ready for bath time. He got a bit excited and was jumping in the air, and his tooth caught on my arm. So it's not domestic violence from Travis. It was just an accident. We took him out to, well, we set out. It's a funny story actually. We set out to head to a place called Bird's Land Reserve, in the sort of the broad Dandenong Ranges area, and I was driving, so Alex was on navigation duty. Usually when it's me on navigation, I'll get the phone out, so I've got something to refer to, but Alex is like, no, I know how to get there. It's like, sure, okay. So driving along, oh, yep, turn here. He's like, oh, I think we continue on here. Sure. Okay. Yep. Keep going. And we're like, this doesn't look like the last time we came here. So then he gets out his phone, and I presume that he is entering in Birdsland Reserve into it. And he says, okay, yep, when we get to the end of this road, turn here. So we do all of that. Driving along, and then we're coming past this lake, and it's all misty and foggy and quite beautiful. I'll just pause the story while I think about how I'm going to construct this with you. So I think I'll fold the 2 corners in. Maybe I even put those across the back, like the back of the basket. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So I'll come through from here. So we're driving along. Yeah, there's a lake, there's some forest, there's some beautiful morning mistiness. It's gorgeous. The sun rays are coming through the mist. And there's a sort of a parky area and a track. And I said to Alex, oh, this doesn't look like where we've been to before, thinking, oh, maybe we've come in a different entrance to Birdsland. And then we're driving along and I say, Alex, we're back at Belgrave Lake where we had been, not yesterday, the day before. So he'd navigated us. He'd just seen on the map a lake and knew that Birdsland had a lake. And so he navigated us back to the very park that we go to quite regularly with Travis, which is a dogs-free oval, and then some beautiful bushlandy reserve around it. So we'd just driven in from a different entrance, and it was just, we were laughing because we couldn't believe, one, that Alex had brought us back there by accident, but 2, that we hadn't noticed that we were coming into the same park that we often go to. So I think I'll so I've stitched those 2 sides in. I've stitched the bottom up, and I think I'll just bring maybe I shouldn't have stitched that bit in. I wonder. Thinking. Might not stitch this bit on at this front because I want to kind of have the contents of the basket sitting in there, I think. Let's just leave it stitched across like that, and then maybe I just stitch the side so the basket can be a bit open. Yep, I think that will be better. So that was very funny. So we let Travis have a run there because there were a few dogs there. So he was having a nice play with a friend, and it was quite misty and very beautiful. But then we got back in the car after that, and I said, Alex, do you want to actually go to actual Birdland? I'd been joking with Travis that he was going to a theme park, because when you hear Birdsland, it sort of sounds like it's like Disneyland, I guess. So I said, do you want to go to your theme park, Travis? And he said, yeah. Not that he can say yeah, but he always wants to go somewhere. He's a very adventuring dog, so yeah, we went along there, found it, put it into the actual navigational device. We did take one wrong turn, not my fault. I'm putting it down to navigation. But we got there. But it gets very busy these days. I think it's been discovered as one of those lovely sort of secret spots. It's got some various, a river that runs through it, and yeah, lakes and lots of bird life. And there's an area where the dogs can go for a swim. So Alex is like, no, Travis isn't going for a swim. I said, oh, I don't know about that. I think Travis will want to go for a swim if we pass this spot. And yes, Travis did take up the opportunity for a swim. So he had a lovely splash around. And when we got home, it meant that I just had to give him a little wash down in the shower. Not a full bath, because he'd had one just last weekend, so I didn't want to be using washy, soapy stuff on him, because it's not good for their skins to have that too regularly, but just gave him a nice warm wash, just to get rid of pond smell. So that was our morning. And Alex has just popped down to see his parents with Travis, which is nice. I had to pop out to the shops and get a few things. It's a Monday public holiday here. But we didn't go away for the weekend. We did sort of toy with the idea in the lead up, but then we thought, nah, there'll be so many people on the roads, etc. So, and we do have a holiday coming up. Not for a few months, but something to look forward to, which will be good. So I want my basket to sit open a little bit, but not too much, so sad to hear on the news today that they recovered the body of Michael Mosley. Whether he passed from heat exhaustion or a heat-related illness. Just be careful, folks out there, particularly those that are coming into summer when you get that extreme weather. Because I know India's had really extreme temperatures recently, and there was a report I read of, yeah, people passing just from the level of heat. So do be careful. Although I know some of my friends in the UK have said it's, yeah, definitely not that hot where they are yet. Although others have said, yeah, it's terribly humid, and then others have said, oh, not humid. So I guess it's like Australia, you get all those different sorts of temperatures. So I'm thinking I won't fiddle too much with my little piece of vintage sequin and beadery. This will just be a nice little way to keep it. I'm not sure how it would go if I tried to actually put it on something where it might get some more wear and tear, but I think this will be absolutely perfect as a little basket. So I think I'll tie the white thread off. Although actually I might need that for anchoring it onto the piece, so what I might do is just knot it. Give it a knotting. And I picked up a piece of fallen fern today, and I'm thinking I might try even doing some makeshift printing with it. I might even try a sort of a form of jelly printing. I don't have a jelly plate, but I've got a couple of things that I thought I could improvise with. I'm very inspired after watching Susie Q doing it. And so I popped into the hardware store while I was out doing the supermarket shop, and got a brayer. I was actually looking in the rolling, the aisle where they have the paint rollers, and I was like, this doesn't look like what Susie used, but I remembered that she'd said it's a brayer, so I looked it up, and it actually was in a totally different aisle. So, but I did get a couple of little paint rollers with some texture rollers on it that I thought might be fun to try to, because I'm thinking it might be great to make sorry, I'm getting distracted. Make some fabrics to use in the next Roxy project in terms of some nature-inspired sort of fabrics with some leaf prints and other things. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. If you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I try and share just lots of different things that I'm finding interesting or trying, so you can see them and decide if there's something you want to do. But I'm really excited about how this panel's coming together. Done a really bodgy knot then. I think it just slid right off the end. Sometimes that method of sliding the knot down, it just gets caught and then doesn't actually go properly. See if I can do a better job this time. I don't think I am, but okay, we've at least got a knot. Right, so I just need to put enough stitches, I think, in just to hold this little skerrick of gorgeousness in the basket. And these stitches at the back won't be seen, so need to make sure I catch at least some of the basket itself. Ugh. Good bit of the basket. I might even come down and just put a stitch around. Hopefully I wasn't going off camera before. I hope. I was actually lucky. Alex I'd not taken the house keys with me. I just took the car keys because I thought Alex would be home by the time I got home, and I just thought I'll ring him as I'm coming back from the supermarket just to make sure. But he had just headed off down the road, thinking that I had actually taken the house keys with me. But now I've put my house keys back on my car keys key ring. I think that's generally the best method. I think because I'm used to normally just going out with the dog bag, which has what I need in it. When I do the shop or something out of the normal these days for me, yeah, I don't always. It takes me a bit more to get organised. We generally have our shops delivered, but there were just a few things we needed. We can run out of margarine. Glad wrap as well. Made some chicken, got a roast chicken yesterday, made some chicken stock, so I think that will be dinner tonight. Got some leftover chicken, roast chicken. Got some nice bread to have with it, so that will be a simple, I was going to say Sunday night because it feels like a Sunday, but no, it's Monday, a simple Monday night dinner. I must have ended up cutting my white thread off after all of that. So I'm thinking I will have my little basket here. So I think that's going to look very, very sweet as a little basket of blackberries. So I thought that can go there. So what I do need to do is just then arrange. So I'll trim down my little spray here. I won't keep the little beads that are around it. I suppose I could keep some. I think I'd rather not have them around actually. Rather just keep it a bit simpler. But I will keep them. I will use them. When some of them come off loose off the piece, I just put them in a little jar or put them with my mixed beads. I think I sent some of this to Leanne, and I've sent some to, I think, some other folks as well. I've got a big quantity of it, so originally I was thinking I might use one of the white beaded pieces that I got as a gift from Silk and Stitch, but I think it might have ended up being a bit heavy and obscuring a bit much, but I think this is just going to be perfect as the blackberry canes. And blackberry, it is a very tenacious plant in the wild. It definitely spreads out and grows. Okay, so I'll keep those little bits. I cleaned my desk last night too, so I'm feeling like a new woman today. Got lots of room around me. I tend to sort of get jars and multitudes of jars, as well as the ones I've got in my shelf, sitting on the desk with like scraps and bits and pieces in them. So I've moved those off to give myself a maximum room. So I think if I have that sitting there, then I could bring this one so it just sort of comes up like that maybe. That would be nice. Or do I want to have this a bit further over? No, I think I want that to sit there. I think I do. And so if I want that to sit there, do I have this sort of encroaching or do I have it coming? No, I think I'll have it come up there. I think that will be good. What do you think? Yeah, I think something like that. Okay, so I think we can use our dark blue thread. And I wonder if I should use my thin milliner's needle. It's amazing how time goes when you start on these videos. It's just, it flies away. So I probably won't do all the going through the beads. I'll just get this tacked down so that we can then get on to some other parts of this. These milliner's needles are very sharp, so try not to stab yourself with one. There's a little hole in the end of the bead that I was going to try and go through. Sometimes it might be best actually to put your beading on last, which I'll definitely be doing for the other panels, but I did want to get this behind the little basket. I just went through 2 of the beads there. So milliner's needles are very thin needle. As I say, very sharp. They can tend to sort of bend a little bit as you use them as well, depending how heavy-handed you are. This was a brand new one, so it's probably very sharp. What was I was beading something else. Can't remember what it was now. Oh no, it must have been, yeah, it was when I was doing those ones. So I usually try a few things out, sort of work out what's going to work, and then come and show you. Sometimes I'm figuring it out with you as well, but I don't want to waste your time. And it is nice sometimes just to do some quiet stitching, as well as my chatty. I do enjoy my chatty stitching, and I enjoy the chats we have in the comments. Looking forward to watching back Martha's premiere. She had a little catch up, but it was alas night time here. But as I said to her, totally understand. It's hard at the moment to find times that work for everyone, because we're not in. It was a bit easier, I think, when we were in daylight saving. So I'm just popping up at various points and passing through the beads and anchoring, using some anchoring down stitches. But as I say, I'll probably come back and put stitches through all the beads to be sure that they're not going to come undone. So it's not like adding this sort of pre-done beading. It definitely is easier than trying to bead it all yourself, but you still need to do a bit of work to make sure it's going to endure. But yeah, so grateful to have access to something like this. Otherwise, I just would not have this sort of beauty in my craft room to use, and I am determined to use it, so it's good to be using some big sprays of it in this piece. I might even have to do a really fancy one with the white piece of, might even do a white container of some sort, because I do have lots of beautiful pieces that I was gifted from the owner of Silk and Stitch. And at the moment they're just sitting in little tins and being routinely admired, but yeah, they deserve to be used as well, I think. Got the blinds open, but I've got something sort of blocking the direct sunlight, so hopefully you're not getting too much sun glare. Just be careful when you're working not to catch on your beads like it did there. Oops. Sometimes be hard finding a point through where there's not a bead in the way. Okay, I'll pass through this one at the end. Yeah, so milliner's needle is definitely a good thing when you're beading, otherwise it can be quite frustrating because some beads won't have been sort of as hollowed out as other ones, and you might really struggle with a non-milliner's needle. I feel like I should probably attach a few more of these down at this end. And yeah, the tulle underneath just adds some extra texture to it, so I'm not too fussed about it. I just trim it down a bit so it's not overwhelming the piece. It's almost just like a bit of shading behind it. Pop down here and put a stitch through here. Oops. Caught on my desk. And just unthreaded my needle. Now I've got a notch. Some days, some moments are just, it's like it's going in flow and then suddenly it decides it's not. So I'm just rethreading, and these can be, because they are such a fine head, I'll just trim the end off. Make it easier for myself, hopefully. Oh, thought I just had it through then, and I've just managed to split the end. Hang on. Might need to trim it again, I think, yes. Trim. It's always the way I was just about to finish, tie that off, but anyway, we've got it rethreaded. All is not lost. I think I'll take that as a sign, because I think I've got everything stitched down mostly. I wouldn't mind actually one more stitch through there. Pass through that row and I'll stitch down here, and then I think I will tie that off. Haven't stabbed myself yet, although famous last words as I finish off. Okay, we will need to keep so we might move on and do our beading over here, seeing I do have the milliner's needle and it does have some blue thread in it. Now, this is just a mixed beads, as the label says. So I will need to just find the ones that are suitable. So I might even select some out into my probably should have done this before starting the video, but truth in videoing, this is what's involved in using mixed beads. You've got to find the don't need too many anyway, but we'll just get enough over here. I've actually got my proper little beading dish that someone helped me identify. That's what I should be putting these in. That's what I should be using. Oops, just sent one bead flying. That's all right. I'm sure we all have various beads around our craft rooms. Yeah, this was a little dish that was in one of the mixed bags of beads and necklaces or something I picked up at the op shop, and I wasn't sure what it was, and someone said, that's a beading triangle. So I can always rely on you to help me out with things. It's like having a crowdsourcing. Be even nicer if you were in my craft room with me. Probably not quite room in here, but in spirit I'd like to have you here. Okay. Let us not knock the beads out of the way. That's probably going to happen, but we'll see if we can avoid it happening. So I'll do one of my blackberries here. Pick up the bead. So again, you can go twice through your beads. I'll probably just do once, just so that, and I can always come back and put some further stitches in, particularly if I want to orientate them around. You can kind of add more stitches to get things to sit exactly how you want them to. So I'm really just putting all these beads nice and close together so they get that sort of that bobbly blackberry look. And yeah, stitching into the felt is fabulous because it's giving a really good sort of solid but easy to stitch through background. And then I'm going to be using that thicker felt that I showed in the last video that I got from the reverse art truck. That will be the extra substance and structure to it to make sure this container's not all sort of floppy. I want it to stand up sturdily. And if you saw my previous video, I made this sweet little snuggle pot and cuddle pie bowl. I love it. And I want to make one the next size up in a coordinating fabric that I've got also from the sort of May Gibbs Snuggle Pot range. I have to see if I've still got my Snuggle Pot book from when I was a kid. I can picture it, so I'm thinking it might be in my packed up books. So yeah, I think that's probably enough in that little one down here. And I might do a slightly bigger one up here. So how many beads do I use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beads there. Usually I use odd numbers of things, but yeah, these little triangle dishes do work quite well. I'll get rid of my other dish so it's not bumping up against it. Sorry for having to kind of flip the fabric up in your face, in your eyes. It's hard to kind of be at the right height when we're filming sometimes. I want to be close enough that you can see what we're doing, but we don't want to go out of shot or be making things go blurry by changing the depth for the camera. Just being extra careful because of the sharpness of this needle. But maybe I can just pop in and out, back out in a single stitch. These ones are sitting slightly more, you can sort of twist them around. If you can see, some of their little center holes are sort of sitting up to the top, which I don't want. I want to see more the glistening-y bits, but that's where an extra stitch. So if I do, for example, want to have these two sit a bit better, I can pass a stitch through that one and then pass a stitch through the one next to it, like that. Pull the thread through and then take it back down into the fabric, and that will just get them to sit better. So that's quite good. And then I think I'll put one right in the middle here. another couple. Seeing I've got the beads, seeing I made you watch me pulling them out. I could always go and make this one a little bit bigger as well, I think. Make it a bit more voluptuous. A voluptuous berry. When we're in Healesville at the breakfast buffet at the RACV club where we were staying, there was this giant blackberry on my little yogurt that I got. It was huge. I remember as a child at my uncle's farm, we used to go out and pick the wild blackberries. He always made sure it was in an area where there hadn't been any sort of spraying done. And yeah, you'd come home and your mouths would be surrounded by sort of darky reddy colour from munching on many juicy blackberries, and your fingers would be stained red. They're the happy memories, aren't they? You kind of, you don't think of them all the time, and then something prompts you, and you remember. And he had a stream that ran through his property, and an old rusty little boat, and my brother and I used to navigate down the stream in it. It would get stuck quite often. Now why is that? So this is one of those. Even with the milliner's needle, that bead does not want to go. So you know what? I'm going to throw that bead away. I do not need the frustration. It's rare that I throw things away, but I'm not going to keep a bead that won't even fit on a milliner's needle. That's beyond the pale. So let's go and add a few beads into this one, just make it a bit more voluptuous. Am I going for time? We're going okay. I want to do some of that, and I want to just show you how I'm anchoring these ones down. And I'll be back in other videos anyway as I work along the panel, so it's not like I don't have to be a hard taskmaster for myself when I'm stitching. We can just stitch together and see what we get done. As I make these videos, I think of you out in your craft rooms and try and sort of wonder what you might be stitching. Are you working on a container? Are you doing another slow stitch project? Are you doing a different type of crafting? Because whenever I'm watching, it's rare that I'm watching, or sometimes I'm doing chores or something, and then I will put the YouTube videos on. But I'm usually stitching when I'm watching YouTube videos or tidying up the craft room. But usually doing something crafty. Sometimes I put them on when I'm cooking dinner or something. Alex got his new TV, so he's very, very happy. I had to help him move that one in. I might actually just travel down here. I probably shouldn't travel that far at the back of the piece, but I will. And I'll just add 2 more of my beads down here. I feel like I was a bit mean with my earlier blackberries. They just don't look quite as voluptuous as the others. Okay, last of the beads that we picked out. That way I don't feel bad for making you watch me do that. I'll just bring an extra bit of thread up and just position that where I want, and I've unthreaded my needle again, so close to the end, but we got it threaded on one go, so I'll take that as a win. Okay, let's tie off Mr. Milliner Needle. Thank you for not stabbing me. I do appreciate that. Maybe it thinks that Travis's accidental toothage on my arm, that's enough distress for the day. No, it wasn't really distress. Alex always gets funny when he gets a cut or something. He's like, oh, get the Band-Aid. Whereas I tend to just leave mine open. Put some ointment on it and then leave it open to the air. I find things heal better that way. I'll show you this quickly, just how I'm doing my little anchoring stitches, both sort of like little granitos, little knots, well not knots, no, not knots, the granitos isn't a knot, little granitos markings, or otherwise little wrapped running stitches. So I just picked out a thread that was similar to the thread used on the vintage piece. Oh, and I should show you closer up how our blackberries look. So that's those. So I've done some little stems, and I'll do another little stem that comes across here to show you. So I'll just do a back stitch in my style, which is a back and forward stitch. Just bring it down here. So this is really just kind of extending and building on the design that was already in the vintage stitchery, which I think is a lovely way to honour the vintage stitcheries, is to do that. Just come across to there, and then I'll come out at the end, just next to the end, and then I'll use the back of my needle to just weave my thread through my back stitches, so through each segment of a stitch. You can either go left to right or from right to left, just always go in the same direction through each of the stitches. And it just gives you a nice sort of, yeah, twisted line, which is similar, I think, to what they've done up there. So that's what I'm doing in part. And then I've done some little sort of, just laying some little, almost like seed stitches, I guess. Actually, yesterday I did a little lazy daisy stitch first and then laid some stitches over that, which I don't even know whether that even has a name when you do a lazy daisy. Anchor that down and then do some little stitches over the top. I'm trying to remember exactly what goes into a granitos stitch. So that's what I was saying before, but maybe it wasn't even a granitos that I was doing. I have to go back to my dictionary of stitches. Just wanting to get a little raised, like a little petally, leafy sort of shape, because I think that's what they kind of had down here. So I've just replicated that at some of the edge pieces to hold it down. But I'll probably do some more stemmy pieces up there. But over here, I think I'll just do some little lazy daisies to start. Like that, a little lazy daisy, anchor that down, and then lay some other little stitches over the top. I'll do one more here. Oops. Maybe I'll just do it like this. Won't do a lazy daisy to start that. I'll just lay some little stitches next to each other. Before I did the the dictionary of stitches, I thought that little seed stitches were a single stitch, but in that they had seed stitches as a double stitch. But I guess there's probably variations. Just tie that off. I'll keep this piece of thread to use for another bit over here. So I might even just take it down to the bottom and just poke it through the edge here, to keep it out of the way while I'm doing the other bits. So we'll come up here and I might use my larger needle. I did have a different one yesterday, I thought. That one. Not that one. Maybe I was using that one. think it's okay because it's not too... And so yeah, I was using this beautiful yarn. I think it's from Karlund Yarns. They're mill ends, where they give you sort of their leftover end piece. Well, not give it, I did purchase them. They provide you with their leftover end pieces. So this one's got blue into black, which I think could be super. So French knots, which despite knowing lots of knots, French knots are still my favourite for some reason. So yeah, I'll do these ones at the back in the slightly darker colour. So because I'm using a wool, I'm just going to do a single, just fold my piece out. May as well take advantage of the fact that it is all a single piece. That way hopefully I can keep my hand, one hand underneath. So I'm going to just scatter these French knots around so that I don't have all the same colour next to each other. I don't know why it's particularly hard to pull through there. No, don't know. Maybe is this yarn slightly thicker than the other one? I'm not sure. Just didn't seem to be this degree of pulliness. Unless it was a different needle I was using. Using a larger needle is good because it does mean less pressure on the wool. Maybe because it's up in this bit here and it's getting caught on the other threads. Not sure. Not sure. So with the French knots, you're just holding onto the end as you pull it through, just to get a nice tight knot if that's what you want. If you're happy for them to be looser, you don't have to be as careful about holding onto the ends. I don't know if I should just turn my lights on as well, just in case now that the sun is descending behind the tree over there. Be careful with the wools, they can tend to be a little bit more prone to knotting. That's my tacking stitch you can see running across the top there. I'll take that out after I've got my blackberries done. You'll actually probably get covered up anyway, but yeah, I don't know why this is proving more difficult than it was. Oh, sorry, just bumped you as well. I'm wondering, maybe I'll try this one once I've pulled. See if it makes any difference. Otherwise, maybe it's just the slightly different type of wool. Maybe it's just a bit more of a catchy wool. I think that's even harder actually. I don't know, maybe not. I think the other wool I was using is a smaller, just I can even tell by the knots it's a slightly smaller gauge, so it's probably just the thicker wool. This is probably getting to the sort of upper thickness that you'd want to be stitching with. You can always use pliers, but I just find a wiggle usually gets it through. Ouch, I messed up myself at the back. And so I just keep jumping around so that, as I say, the colours distribute themselves. Bit of a workout when you have to wiggle your wiggle your needle that much. Now I will take that little tucking stitch out now. Oh, it was already working its way out, so that's good. Let's get rid of that one there. See, sometimes after a while it just starts to go a bit better. I don't know, maybe it was just... I don't think there's anything particularly heavy duty behind this, but who knows? Who knows what it was? I'll see, that one's hard to pull through again, so maybe I just got lucky for a couple of stitches. I should not have said anything. When it's going well, you stay quiet. Keep your head down, Christine. So, what else to tell you? Back to work tomorrow. Probably should do some more sorting of the assorted boxes. But I actually want to do a few things in the craft room, and I am keen to try some different things with the fern frond that I picked up. I've ordered some proper fabric to print onto. It's made for printers. I'm a bit scared to ruin my printer by doing my own DIY printing fabric. So I thought if I got a professional one, that might get over my phobia of printing on fabric full stop. Because I thought that could be great for the Roxy nature field guide, field notes, nature journal sort of thing. Sorry, I've probably not got the right. I've written it down when the girls were talking about it, field notes. Keep it in my little cubby holes. I've got a little set of they're actually old cutlery holdery things, little stand-up cutlery holder boxes, and I've got them on their side like a set of pigeonhole shelves. It's all about repurposing, but they sit right at the end next to another table, so they kind of rest against that, so at least they don't fall off the end of the desk. It's all about making good space of our areas around, and for me it's about having the things that I need to reach within within reach, because then I will use them. So all my threads and wools and things. Probably edit down a little bit of this just so that I don't go too far over the hour mark, but I just want to show you this blackberry finished. I can probably edit out some of the picking out of the beads, but that's probably better, really. Although this might be like watching beads being picked as well. Who knows? Maybe it's just as tedious watching someone battling with their fabric, putting French knots in. But at least that way, if you know you're battling at some stage, you know you're not alone. Sometimes it does happen when we are wanting to use thicker wools, etc. And I suppose this is quite a dense furnishing fabric as well. guess I am also going through the wool on the back that's already there. And in fact, this feels like it's trying to knot. I want it to knot where I want it to knot, not where I don't. That one went through nicely. It's definitely when I'm going through the wool itself that makes it harder to see if I can try and go out the same hole. See, it's getting quite thick at the back there. So no wonder it does get that little bit tough. Only a few more knots needed. Hopefully just 2 more, I think. It's probably enough to show you anyway. I think we might even only do 1 more because I think I'm almost getting down to that point where I'll start unthreading my thread, which would be just, that would be too much for you. There's enough challenge. So I will, yeah, I'll finish the last few off, but that's enough to show you that. Let me just get the tails out so you can get a proper look at it. So I'm just using the end of the needle just to flick those out. And so yeah, I will probably do these ones in this slightly finer yarn. So that is the 2 yarns together. Yeah, no, it is definitely finer. So that was much easier than this one, but I'll probably still use that one up there and maybe on this one here, or actually no, I might use that one there, this one here, and just do the 2 darker ones back there. So I hope you enjoyed that little stitching. It's amazing how the time goes on. I do need to put my little basket, so I'll have that stitched on by the time we come back next time. And I think that's, yeah, really sweet with that just sitting on the wall there. So that will just be with the blackberry then coming out behind it. And then next time I think we'll stitch into this, and I'll probably use some of this beautiful vintage crochet thread in a beautiful golden honeycomb sort of colour to put little seed stitches around this, I think, because I just love the design. I don't want to interfere with it. It reminds me of sort of etchings or engravings. So hope you've had a lovely, whenever you're watching this, probably it'll be maybe Tuesday night when I post it. I might post it tonight, it depends. I'll probably cut in, if there's time in it, I might cut in a few pictures from today at the end if you want to see those. Otherwise, take care and I will speak to you soon. Bye.